Window Choppin, podcast about hip hop, podcast about love, podcast about
Life,
bullying.
really.
Yeah,
Bullying for sure.
Yeah, this week. I'm Big Game Dutch. Opposite me is certified lover boy and noted OVO apologist Ray Chavo. Ray, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, and I am an OVO apologist. I'm trying to get way to the embassy. You know what I mean? I want to be one of the icons. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing.
No, you're a Drake fan though. Don't walk that back here.
I am a Drake fan. Look, I'll be honest. I am a Drake fan. I'm still listening to Drake. We're gonna talk about some of the tangential things of the beef. I'm still listening to Drake. He ain't the best rapper of all time, but I still listen to him.
Yeah, no, we'll get to Drake. I also have Drake thoughts. So the big thing this episode is we're going to go over Kanye's new album. Came out like a week or two ago. We've both listened to it a couple times. Haven't talked too much about it outside of this, so I'm going to kind of get fairly raw thoughts. But first, there is hip-hop news, bigger hip-hop news, which is that Jay-Z came out of his mansion, wherever he's living, L.A. I don't even know where Jay-Z is.
Honestly, bro,
Bahamas,
like, somehow we hear less from Jay-Z than we do, like, Biggie and Tupac. Like, I feel like a new Biggie and Tupac track comes out every once in a while, so we're like, I got this reference track, or there's, like, a new Tupac, like, a sound-alike. Meanwhile, Jay-Z's just chilling in the cut. Bro, this is such a tangent, but, like, I saw a video of, like, Blue Ivy, and, like, she's, like, a grown, like, a teenager now, and I was like, I thought she was still, like, 5. Because I just, like, because, you know what I mean? But, yeah. Jay-Z came down from Mount Olympus, so to speak.
And for GQ, too, which I was a little taken aback by, they did, I don't know if you saw, like, the photo spread. I actually didn't like it, and I actually had the GQ subscription for a year, Light Flex. And I normally like the styling, and I like their photography a lot. I don't think they really knew what to do with Jay-Z. I think that partly actually has to do with his age. Like, he had the full grills thing, and I'm like, this guy's almost 50. Like, what? They
have some bad. I mean, because I'm pretty sure it was for GQ that Kobe did the famous, like, Ninja Kobe one.
Yeah, I think that was for GQ.
So, like, actually, they have a bad track record with, like, older black guys where they're just like,
I think that makes sense, right? Because obviously that's outside of the purview. Like, they know what to do with Clooney. You know what I mean? Like, they know what to do with Clooney. More
just put Clooney in a suit and, like, make everyone remember fucking Ocean's 11. And it's, like, great.
Remember Ocean's 11? Yeah. And then the other, obviously he's doing kind of a post-album press run, was J. Cole.
Yeah.
He was on Carmelo Anthony's show, and he obviously did a Cameron interview that had, like, extra stuff behind it because there was a lawsuit. I actually didn't know too much about that. I watched the interview.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, what do you think about the J. Cole press run?
I hate it. But look, my feelings on J. Cole are pretty nuanced, I guess. And it's funny.
Guy.
It's funny because you know, between the two of us, like, Dutch always makes fun of me about being, like, a J. Cole guy. Like, he's like, you're a J. Cole fan. Like, you're a J. Cole fan. Yeah. And I'm really not, but, like, he's so much more negative on J. Cole. It's like how the Democrats are the left party, but they're just, like, the most close to the left. Actually. So, I'm actually, like, a J. Cole centrist. I'm a J. Cole Democrat.
Yeah, I'm
Dutch
more of a Democrat on J. Cole. No, I'm
Dutch is like, make J. Cole, like, extinct again. Like,
no, sure. in Minecraft. Yeah.
But yeah, please, go.
So specifically, what I thought, what I drew from both the Jay-Z interview and the J. Cole stuff was J. Cole got asked twice on both podcasts, obviously about the beef. We can talk too about, like, why he chose to apologize. Watching the interview was really weird how much he brought up 7-Minute Freestyle, and he felt that the apology was atonement for that. 7-Minute Freestyle was the track that was right on the end of the. I don't remember the name of the mixtape.
I might delete this later.
I might delete this later, and he did. That song isn't on streaming. I had to find, like, a YouTube rip. I re-listened to the song, and, like, it's so soft. Like, it's so, like,
it's not even the kind of diss song that you would need to apologize for.
I know.
Like Jay-Z got clowned for apologizing for Super Ugly Freestyle, and that song legitimately had some, again, like, some images that are disgusting, like, I skeeted on your baby mama's car seat and shit like that. Like, that's legitimately, again, I'm not, like, I think we might talk about it through this conversation. I don't think there's really a lot of lines in beef rap, especially when you're doing like this. But like, you could argue, okay, Jay-Z crossed the line.
If
like
you're going to draw the line, J. Cole's so far on the other side.
Yeah, like he's not even close to it. He's not even looking at it.
This is kind of always the thing where I fall on with J. Cole, though, where like I do believe he's sincere.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think he sincerely, the way he talks about it, like him and his wife cried an hour before he was getting on stage at Dreamville. Seriously, bro, he said this.
No,
I
know.
Me and my wife cried like an hour before getting on stage. Like when I told her I was gonna get up there and say something, like it was something that weighed on his heart. And you know what? Like to some extent, I have to respect that. To some extent, I just have to respect that. Like he's still enough of a person who holds to whatever his idea of, you know, a strong sense of morality or honor. Or, like the way he kept framing it was representing who I am. He felt that more than anything. 7-Minute Freestyle had like misrepresented how he felt about Kendrick, and then he said like, but what's worse is the reason I did it was so that people didn't like make fun of me, which like, but people still make fun of you. Like he'll always, his association with that beef will always be that he was on the original song, first person shooter. First person shooter. That kind of started everything, and so like, and then he backed out. But so then they ask him, do you think the beef overall is bad for hip-hop? And he says the most J. Cole thing, which is that he says, I don't think I'm qualified to say. Because it didn't involve me. And he said, because no matter, right? And he says, no matter what I say, the response will always be, well, you backed out. If I say, no, the beef was good, like, actually, it's good to keep that competitive spirit alive, people will be like, yeah, but you backed out. But then if I say, no, the beef was bad, it's like, well, of course you think that. You backed out. You apologized. No, so he kind of, which... Again, to some
which is a fair take. I think that's a fair take.
I think it's a fair take for him to say like I'm not going to answer that. The only reason I think it's kind of bullshit is because if you extrapolate from the rest of the conversation, it's clear that he does think it was bad, or at the very least, he does think that it went too far. He
100%,
thinks that for sure.
100%.
Jay-Z, when asked this question, obviously does have that attitude of like, I'm Jay-Z. I'm fully qualified to give my opinion.
I'm the elder statesman. Everyone else that I came up with either died or I now own them. Like Nas is on my label now. Yeah. So who the fuck?
I put out those albums you guys really like. That was on my shit.
Yeah, like
no, totally. And so it was an interesting perspective. His answer to the question started with, there are 4 pillars of hip hop. This is old school, right? DJing, breakdancing, graffiti art, and then battling, really, because before it was rapping on a beat. It was
you're just like rapping
against someone or rapping against someone a cappella, right? And he kind of goes, he said, breakdancing is an Olympic sport. That's dead. First of all, okay, that's true. Specifically
it was an Olympic sport one time.
And it was an Olympic sport one time. And also, like, wait, but is the position that dancing is no longer a part of hip hop? Because that's obviously not true. Like, if you want to
I think he was trying to say specifically like breakdancing b-boy is dead, like no longer a thing.
But I think okay, and then he goes graffiti. He goes, that's still alive, but it's less connected to hip hop, which I think is fair. I think that's much more skate culture adjacent now than it might be specifically hip hop. DJing, he goes, no one gives a fuck about DJs anymore.
I disagree with that, actually.
I actually might disagree with that too, but okay. Especially if you encompass DJ as like producer. Like I actually think we're having a little bit of a producer renaissance where a lot of producers have, you know, more of a brand. I mean, Metro Boomin puts out albums. Like
truly.
But even the
DJ Envy stuff.
DJ Envy and who was on Tyler's album? He did like the spoken word bits.
Oh, yeah.
Is it DJ Clue? It's not.
No, was it not Clue? I thought it was
DJ Drama. Oh my god, thank you. Is
Drama?
Yeah, and like that just had a moment. That wasn't that long ago. That Tyler
bro, album, and like Ferg is working with Premiere. They've had albums putting out together. Like, DJs aren't dead by any definition of what you could even classify as DJ. Like even club DJs, like people post like reels and TikToks of like cool mixes or like
all the time.
I attached this song to this other song that you would never expect. I heard a fucking no hands to like some crazy track.
Yeah, I think I saw this actually.
Because like no hands is legitimately like a banger, like a song that I think should be talked about more than it is. Like it's an all-time classic of that genre. So, like, I don't know, like, DJ is not dead. Just because Jay-Z is not in places where they DJ doesn't mean that it's dead. Like, that's...
Especially, like, so much of the southern hip-hop wave that I think has started to die down now, but was definitely at its peak in the 2010s, was strip club culture. That's a place where the DJ is super important. Like, super, super important. So, I didn't buy that either, but then he goes battling. And he kind of his argument is like the other three pillars have fallen. What are we doing holding up the house with this one like mangled, crumbling pillar? So first of all, I'm someone who still actually sort of a part of the battle rap culture that exists, like still a cappella, old school, 3 rounds. This is if anyone's familiar with like Smack DVD, which became URL TV, or KOTD, which is the local league in Toronto. I was at an event there like 3 weeks ago. It was packed out. But I understand that wasn't what he was talking about, but I think this idea that like there isn't an organic market for battling is just disproven by what I see every few months when I get to go to an event. Like, no, people still do like that stuff, and even in hip hop, like.
And I think it's disproven whenever there's any sort of beef, where like again, no matter what people say, again, it doesn't always have to be Drake and Kendrick, like that tier. Joey Badass was dissing a bunch of like TDE names, and there was like 20+ songs, and people were making content, and people like there's people being like, oh, this is the last one, this is whatever, like.
Eminem and MGK wasn't
dropped
that long ago.
Well, that's what I mean, and Papoose dropped a diss track to like and like people still want this. Like it's this fallacy that people don't want this. And you know, speaking about rap battles the way that you're talking about them, like the 3 rounds and stuff, I'm getting more of that on my timeline again, because that Anderson Burris guy, like he's kind of hitting
a creator and a battler, and he does really good at like
he's getting
his own stuff.
Great. Like honestly, like his stuff keeps making me laugh. I've never been to an event, but I was actually gonna, like, in the process before this conversation, I actually forgot to mention it in our little talk beforehand, but I was gonna ask Dutch, like, next time there's an event here that he's going to, I'd like to go with him, because like I don't know a lot about this culture. Like, I know little snippets, I've seen some of the big lines, but it is fun. It's a different type of performance. Obviously, it's
like
not
a live show, right?
Exactly.
Like
It almost feels like musical theater, because it's like the audience is a part of it, and it's like OG Greek theater, where like the audience's reactions and some of the crew on stage is actually informing your thing, and like it's built on each other. People reference lines that people did like 20 years and stuff, so it's like really great,
super deep. Totally. That's
to
a
act,
really cool way to put it. Like it is like Greek theater.
To act like this shit isn't relevant, or that people are checking for it, is just like insane. It's like, and like I have my ideas on why both J. Cole and to a more degree Jay-Z are making these arguments, but I just think it's such a dumb argument for Jay-Z of all people to make. Like, I think it's
what I mean, to say the obvious, like if you say that the 3 biggest hip hop beefs in no particular order are Biggie and Tupac, which I would say, first of all, to say that battling can be removed, even that kind of song-to-song battling can be removed from hip-hop, I think ignores the way that the Biggie-Tupac beef was the catalyst for hip-hop going mainstream. I think no matter what way you slice it, I think that was when people started to feel like hip-hop was really visceral in a way that other music wasn't. You know what I mean? Like the grunge 100%. Scene had died down, and I think what existed of the counterculture in the 90s really gravitated towards hip-hop because of what happened with Biggie and Tupac, because it felt so fucking real, and because of the contrast between those two as figures, right? Tupac, who was like this art student who still to this day there's arguments about how authentic was he really, and Biggie, this guy who was like completely the man that he was. Like, no one would ever argue that Biggie didn't live his raps, or was, you know what I mean? Like, that was when there was a level of authenticity that you just don't find now, and like that is what started hip hop getting so popular, man.
Well,
and then
I would say even before that. Sorry, I'll let you go with the other two totally. Like famous ones, but like Ice Cube and NWA have their big fallout. That launches Ice Cube's career. It creates another pocket on the West Coast. Dre ends up leaving NWA. And if you don't think the fact that Ice Cube left is connected with why Dre left and the money was all funny, it's all connected. Dre leaves. Death Row becomes a thing. Then you get Snoop Dogg. Then you get Tupac. And it launches from there.
It's a huge role.
And like,
no, you're absolutely right.
Even the fact that like before any of this, like Queen... The Bridge Is Over, like that's a famous diss track before any of this, and that against that gets sampled in the 90s to use against like other Queensbridge rappers. So it's like it's built on it. Like it's dumb. But yes, I agree. Like the Biggie and Tupac one's the first one because of how real it was. Because at the time, and again, Ice Cube's another person. Like, was he living his raps or whatever? It's funny how now it's revisionist with the movie and some of his talking. He's like, yeah, I was a student. I was writing like whatever. Like he's like, no, he's like, I was writing about what I saw, whatever, and like Easy was the gangster. I was just putting experiences.
You ain't living. You witnessed it in your folks' pad. Scribbled in your notepad and created your life. Like, And then the next one is Jay-Z and Nas. Like,
100%.
Like, how?
And honestly, like the fact that he recovered from that and the way that he navigated it is one of the reasons why I think you got to call him a GOAT of hip hop.
I think
because
that's totally fair. Yeah.
He took such a big L. And again, whatever. I know that there's been retroactive discourse and maybe some discourse happened in the moment. Again, we grew up in Canada. Like I was seeing this from a removed perspective. I wasn't in New York proper, which is where I would argue like these things would hit the hardest.
Yeah.
But people are saying now Takeover is better than Ether, like whatever. But again, the apology for Super Ugly, I think, did dent a lot of like Jay-Z's credibility on this.
For sure.
But he moved past it. He took a very public L.
And kind of by being, even though Nas like is so revered, I think Jay-Z kind of knew how to play his cards better,
100%.
which I think then brings us to, in a way, all three beefs are kind of like they're the same beef.
They're
you're
the same
a liar,
beef.
I'm real, and I genuinely hate you because I think you represent everything that's wrong with this culture.
And I think in all three beefs, it's funny because it kind of keeps flipping back and forth. And like, yeah, there is someone who's being called out for being a liar, for portraying an image. Yeah. And then there's one person that's paranoid. Because the Tupac thing, super paranoid. He comes out of jail, whatever. Like, he thinks Biggie set him up, tried to kill him. That's,
he really believes that. Yeah.
Like, and again, whether or not we all believe it or that's the truth or if it was P. Diddy or whatever the hell, he believed it. That paranoia and that fear kind of drove Tupac to where he was at by the end of his whole thing anyways. Yeah. Like, and that it colored a lot of his music. Because even on Hit 'Em Up, he's taking lots of shots at Biggie, but he's shooting at Nas, he's shooting at Prodigy, he's shooting at like, I mean, he literally goes scorching. It's the Drake thing. It's the Drake thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Totally. And so it's the same thing. And it's funny because Kendrick is most inspired by the guy who in the original beef you could argue was the fraud. You could argue is a kid that's not even from the West Coast, is from Baltimore, went to art school there, whatever. He grew up in New York here, whatever. And like, again, Tupac is a G. He had this thing with the off-duty cop. He was prone to his violent outbursts. Like, I'm not trying to say that Drake is as hard as Tupac. I would never say that.
Yeah, but certainly they're taking the same position.
Absolutely. They're 100%, right?
Yeah.
And then in the Jay-Z Nas thing, again, it's Jay-Z's credibility as a street guy being questioned. Yeah. And like you were this and used to rap like this, and then you met Jazzo, you changed your name, and now you rap like that. It's the same. It's the same beef, and we're just alternating who's the protagonist and whatever. And it's interesting because in the original beef, we didn't really have a winner because both of them died.
Everyone lost. Yeah.
In the other beef, like the Jay-Z Nas one, you could argue the real side won, but the commercial success went to the fake side, and then maybe that's what gets us like 50 Cent, who's also had to deal with like snitching allegations and the cops being around, et cetera, et cetera. Like, is Ja Rule more of a street guy than 50 Cent? According to some people, yeah.
Yeah.
Did it matter? Did it matter that Rick Ross then is a correctional officer that becomes a thing? And then this all comes into an apex with a Canadian rapper who, yes, has ties to the States, but is also a child actor. And as hard as his life may have been or not been, grew up in a neighborhood in Toronto that's not the most unsafe neighborhood. And again, even if he saw some stuff in the States, even if he was around some of this stuff, it's clear he was not an active participant.
And for the record, living in a major city, any major city, anywhere in fucking Kansas City, like, people kill each other. Like,
100%.
In any major
100%,
city.
yeah.
And every kid who's gone to high school knows a drug dealer. But so I guess I would have a question for you, which is, do you think Jay-Z I don't want to say changing his position, because I think it's different because he was in it before and now he's sort of watching from afar, but do you think the change has something to do with the way that, I mean, I hate to say it because I don't even know how much I agree with it, but that people perceive Jay-Z as having sold out?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all just from a capital point of view. Like, I think for Jay-Z, battling is bad now.
Bad for capital?
I think it was bad.
Obviously, that's a very abstract question. Yeah, but I mean, for generating money around hip hop.
I think he thinks what we think in the fallout of it, that now that hip hop, because of the way the beef went, and because of the fact that the person that the industry clearly wanted to win. And when I mean the industry, I don't mean the people that are in it. Like, I don't think every rapper had like a dog in the fights. Some of them did, because some of them are closer to Drake, closer to Kendrick, or are getting checks from Drake or Kendrick, and that also is going to shape how you see.
And a lot of them had, I think, prior things they wanted to say to Drake.
To Drake specifically, because Drake burned a lot of bridges.
Yeah.
But I do think like for the marketing people, for the record label people, this again mixed kid who like has this international pop sound, who whatever, they wanted him to win, and then it didn't win. And not only did he not win, he took a big hit to like his credibility and his image. And then because of how it all went down, it's almost like, yeah, like to people who like hip hop, this is cool. But if you're like a white kid who listens to Drake, did it become less cool to listen to Drake? Is there other people and other counterculture things that are going to take the spot of what Drake was? And I think that's where Jay-Z is coming at it from. Like, did we alienate more fans? Like, did we take it away from being for everybody? But then because Kendrick won, and his whole argument is like, it's not supposed to be for everybody. Well, there are people that are in the club and not in the club.
First, he was on basically what you could call a boutique label, and he felt that was too constricting, and even now only puts out music to himself.
Yeah.
Like, so he's the opposite of the big label guy.
Yeah.
I think there's some validity to that, maybe, but I would say this is kind of a chicken and the egg problem.
100%. You could see it both ways.
I think the Kendrick-Drake beef crystallizes what was already...
It was coming down the pipeline. I think
on the downslope.
I think anybody could see it with how many pop stars. Again, I think we went through an era where, and I say this as someone who's like listens to music and is around people who listen to different music than I do. There was a while where I would say, like, did we have like a true pop star that really took the reins from like, I guess, Miley Cyrus or anything like that? Like, I'm not saying there weren't pop stars. I know there were.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. But it
like,
felt like nobody had that kind of cultural capital.
Was Demi Lovato, was Selena Gomez, was Lady Gaga, were they hitting the same highs as like Britney Spears or whatever? No, and I would argue that Lady Gaga and some of her ilk, they became bigger once they got past the pop star thing and they began making like real artistic expressions and music.
Lana Del Rey,
exactly.
But a lot of
and like
would have been pop stars from that era.
Exactly. They'd start making more experimental music,
kind of create new genres.
Exactly.
That's the whole like new sound that more Billie Eilish, I think, kind of emerges out of totally.
100%.
And because the oxygen in the room was being eaten up by Kanye West.
Kanye West.
By that archetype.
By Kanye West and all the people that came in after him. 808s and Heartbreak defined a generation of sound, and a lot of people gravitated to that sound, and people took that sound and made it into different things.
Yeah. I mean, Drake always says that him and 40 thought he found his sound when he rapped over Say You Will. And didn't say what's real. Like, that's like, I think maybe it was 40 who was like, that was when we knew what the sound was.
Like that.
It was directly him rapping over 808, which is not to say that Drake didn't go his own way with it. Obviously, Drake ended up, like him or hate him, doing his own thing. But yeah, I mean, it's clear that all the big stars from that era come out of and Kanye as a guy who didn't, I think, have these ugly associations of having genuinely been like a criminal. I know it's bad to say, but I just think that's true. To fully break into the mainstream, you needed the kind of like Kanye still has cred, but he's not as murky as the breed of rappers that came. I mean,
and you can see it, thing, right? And you can see that in how long it took him to get there. Like
totally.
Because when you see the docs and stuff, originally they thought he was a nerd. They just wanted his beats.
Yeah.
And then they realized, like, hey, he's talented, and he's not going to let us take his beats unless whatever. And why does his music connect? Because on a different level, again, I do think like he was around this stuff, but he wasn't an active participant, and it makes it more palatable. And again, the way he dresses, the way he presented himself. Early on, he wasn't a gangster. He was dressing in polos, pink tees, like...
Okay. We're here, so I'm going to get off my final Jay-Z point, or well, really the Drake-Kendrick beef point, which is that I view the beef as being good for the same reason that I think Jay-Z views the beef as bad, which is that I think the decline of hip-hop was already coming. I think it was already being forecasted for a bunch of other deeper cultural reasons, some of which do get pretty big, you know, talking about, like, the MAGA cultural turn, like, all of that stuff, I think.
Yeah, there's wider social implications than just this beef, for sure.
And I'm glad that at the moment, our last, I don't want to say but hip-hop's last moment in the limelight was Kendrick Lamar. I'm happy for that, and I'm happy that moment is now what's going to mark the transition into what is hip-hop now that it's not the biggest genre in the world. Okay, so we're at the Kanye conversation. Right. Bully, supposedly the best Kanye album in 10 years, the return to form we've all been waiting for. I have a lot to let rip, so I'm wearing
The St. Pablo. Oh my God,
this is real. I bought this at Scotiabank Center in 2016.
That is no Temu. There's no Temu.
No resale, no grailed, no nothing. This is authentic. I'll let you go first because then I'm gonna have to let it rip.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I do think, I think a return to form is a bridge too far from what I would say. I do think it's the most listenable Kanye album I've heard since the era when he made Life of Pablo and like Kids See Ghosts
Kids See
and
Ghosts
that
and Yay and
and
that kind
that
of like
like
a 7-song
that
summer,
yeah like
summer, yeah.
I wasn't even,
another beef that we didn't even talk about, but yeah,
the Pusha Duke, yeah. Well, to be fair, like that sets the seeds of the
for
other
sure.
one, right?
Yeah,
like, And again, in that one, Drake should have learned his lesson. We got away with a Jay-Z one. That would have been his Jay-Z moment. Just continue to be the commercial guy and just let it rock.
Exactly.
But he didn't.
But he couldn't leave well enough alone.
He couldn't leave well enough alone.
Like Kanye.
Yeah, honestly, like Kanye. But yeah, this is the most listenable one. You know, I think there are moments on Donda. I think there are moments on like Jesus is King. Me and Dutch talked about it. There's some songs off those tracks that you listen to me like, oh man, this is a good song for a party. This is a good song to listen to. This is like kind of fits into a classic Ye level of track. But it was so inconsistent. This one, I will say one thing: the quality is pretty consistent. Like,
I would totally agree with that.
There wasn't a song where I was like, wow, this song really sucks. My least favorite song,
the Spanish one.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, I was gonna say that one. And I didn't like the Travis Scott one, but just because of Travis Scott's feature, like I thought it was pretty unneeded. Yeah. He basically just did the same thing that Ye did. I'm like, this song is now longer, and you've added nothing to it. And
it really reminds you how much like, Travis is one of those guys who's super derivative of Kanye. Like, I've never been a big Travis fan.
I've never been a huge
Kanye fan because I'm like, if I'm gonna shoot my heroin, I want it to be pure. You
well,
know
that's
what I mean? Like,
man, no.
Stepped on shit. Yeah.
Well, that's like, man. Again, this is a crazy comparison. That's what I say about Coca-Cola. I said Coca-Cola because he just said heroin. If I just said Coke, it would have.
Yeah.
But like, it's like people are like, why don't you drink Coke Zero, Coke Diet? I'm like, that shit's also not healthy for me, so I might as well just be drinking the good, unhealthy stuff. So that's how I feel about Travis Scott as well too. Like most of the Travis Scott stuff I really like, past like his initial stuff where there's a lot more good, is like someone else is on the song and they're better on it, and I like that.
He kind of does the Kanye thing and like cultivates or whatever.
Yeah. But the Spanish song was awful, man. I like when that came on, I was like, huh. So like you just thought that. You listen to Bad Bunny once, and you're like, let's. And
you clearly had a person in the studio who was like, "What if I wrote a verse for you in Spanish?" I assume Peso Pluma wrote the verse.
Yeah.
And he was like, that would be so cool. And
But
did you have a standout? I know you said it's all pretty consistent, but did you have an obvious standout track?
I really liked. Hold on, because I wrote down notes and shit. I liked.
Oh, big man over here. No, I wrote down notes too.
I liked. I liked All the Love.
Dude, I'm so glad you said that because I actually wasn't sure if we were going to have a big thing about like, I know Kanye's singing has been divisive since he started it, since 808s especially, but I think you could even say since like, maybe even a little before that, but
Graduation when he started to dip the toe in.
Yeah, exactly. Graduation when he dipped his toes in. I'm generally a fan of the Kanye singing, and I think he can really do it, and I agree that All the Love kind of shows like, it's one of the more interesting songs on here because he doesn't even really try to do a verse. He's like, no, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to use my producer chops to like really make a beat that doesn't need a verse on it. And he made what I think is a really cool song. Like that's the one that like the chorus has been super stuck in my head listening to this album like 3 times this week. Like
100%.
It's really stuck with me. I'm glad you enjoyed that too.
I liked it a lot. And I agree with you. I think he gets a lot of knocks on his singing voice. And I think like, sorry to bring Drake and everything, but like,
Third Drake mention, everyone.
I kind of feel the same about him and Drake. Like people get at their like singing voice, but I think what people don't understand is like most of the artists and bands you like, they aren't really great singers.
Yeah.
Like it's all production
this isn't
and it's
like
all like show.
Yeah, people
like
can't
you know what I mean? Like and like even the ones that are still doing like Beyonce can't sing the way that she used to, Mariah can't sing the way that she used to. They're helped along. Like
Beyonce's
Christina Aguilera, all this stuff.
People say her best album was one where her singing was mostly auto-tuned.
Yeah.
Like Renaissance or whatever. Like that's not her natural singing, man.
Yeah.
Like
So I think people get so worked up, and it's just because they're rappers, so you don't want to pick at it. But I agree. Like, it was clear that he had a vision for this song. He trusted his voice to make it. I don't think he asked anything of his voice that he wasn't able to deliver.
Yeah.
And like you, like I heard that song and I replayed it like originally my first listen because I was like, it really stuck with me, and I liked what I thought what the song was trying to say. I liked the way that it sounded. I liked everything about it. That's definitely one of my standouts. Like I really like that song. Whatever works is another one I really liked because it had some like old fashioned Kanye like lines and quips
and the swagger to it
and
too.
the delivery.
Yeah,
the delivery. I was like, this feels like an old Kanye song.
Yeah.
So those two for me were some of mine. But yeah, go like rip. I want to hear some of what you have to say.
I'm wearing the shirt, man. I'm a corny white boy talking about hip hop. Whatever. Of course. Oh, I like Kanye West.
Hey, he's mixed. Okay, he's Hispanic. He's Hispanic.
But I mean, I saw Kanye in 2016. It's still the best live performance I've ever seen. One of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. Went with my best friend. This was pre-drinking, just raw energy. It was crazy. And a big thing I've always said about Kanye is that I understand why certain people are uncomfortable using terms like GOAT around him because he's never even really claimed to be a particularly phenomenal rapper. And if that's something that's big for you, as it is for me, I'm a guy who, outside of like the Kanye stuff I like, my favorite stuff, and like Ray can vouch for this, is like super underground, gritty, lyrical hip hop. Like that is my bag. But Kanye's never framed himself as that.
No.
So what do I think about this album? I think it's the worst thing a Kanye album could be for me is bland.
Right.
Or even derivative. And people have always accused Kanye of being derivative, as in like absorbing a lot from other people's sounds, from kind of the ambient background radiation of hip hop and like bringing it to life. I mean, there was all this relitigation about did Yeezus start industrial hip hop? Well, no, of course there was stuff on the margins, but like there's always stuff on the margins. You need a tastemaker, especially when we're talking about.
It's the same thing in other genres where like Nirvana wasn't the first grunge band. And they were
not at all, like, and emerged out of a scene, right? But this Kanye album is derivative of Kanye, and I think that's so tied into what ends up becoming the subject matter of the album. So the title is Bully, and I really wasn't sure how to feel about it. I honestly was not checking for this album. I actually think if me and Ruben hadn't talked about doing this podcast and being like, we should do some new stuff, some old stuff, whatever, I don't know if I would have given it a full listen through. I didn't.
I'll tell you, I would not have.
Yeah,
if we didn't
I didn't give Donda 2 a full listen through. I haven't given the Vultures albums a full listen to.
I haven't listened to Vultures. I listened to Donda once, and I
think I've heard all the songs on Donda. I don't think I've ever listened to it front to back.
I listened to Donda front to back too. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Kanye is someone. I think his music is both very personal and very much a part of the broader culture. I think this has always been the dynamism that makes Kanye special for me as an artist, which I think all of his music is unapologetically him while also involving all these other collaborators. And while other people would knock him for that, I would argue that's his biggest strength, and that's why I consider him the greatest artist in hip-hop. Maybe not the greatest rapper, maybe not, but he is the thing that emerged out of the bubbling cauldron of hip-hop culture that could really, like, transcend. I genuinely think in 20, 40 years, I will be listening, if I'm listening to a lot of rap, a lot of that will be old Kanye stuff because I just think it works, man. He cracked so many codes and was constantly breaking his own mold. So when I say like the personal, but also like the background, something like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. So if you take Bully to be an apology album, which we can get into that later, but I think it is. I think you can largely say that
I think he wants it to be for sure.
He wants it to be an apology album, but when the Taylor Swift thing happened, and when he was personally, I assume, in a genuinely dark place, I think even leading up to that, that's why he was drinking a bottle of Hennessy at a red carpet event, you know what I mean? Because he wasn't doing well. So in that case, the drama kind of gave him, I think, an excuse to, like, chill, stop with the wilding, and, I mean, everyone knows the story. It's maybe the most viewed hip-hop article of all time, the story of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy being made. I think it's on Complex. It's like you scroll through it. It's beautifully presented, and you really get the full experience of, like, oh my God, like the making of this album was a once in a lifetime event that was generated by, number one, I think hip hop was starting to have its first moment where it might have been getting a little stale. And number two, I think Kanye was clearly going through something and felt ostracized. So what does he do? He makes this incredibly bombastic album that there are still apologetic elements within the lyricism, within, I think, some of the song concepts. I think if you want to go super deep into it, you can say most of the songs there are like an apology. I mean, there's the song where he talks about how no more drugs for me, pussy and religion is all I need. Like, it's funny until you think about the fact that we're talking about a guy who's just had a controversy surrounding being publicly intoxicated, right? So Kanye can do an apology. As a matter of fact, a lot of people say that's his best album. Go, I tell you what.
I was gonna say I completely agree. Like, I do think that's his best album. That's my favorite album. I'll say that's my favorite.
And not to out your old man status, but you're someone who I think people would more expect to be drawn to like one of the first three.
Yeah.
And even you're like, no, Fantasy is the
I think it's a beautiful album.
Yeah.
And I do think, like, again, best artist ever is a hard conversation to have in hip hop. I think it always will be. But I was gonna say I kind of agree with you. I think that it really is Kanye, and then you're having to make an argument for a guy like Jay-Z or even Drake, despite like the recent star.
No, as a total artist for sure.
But like the thing that Kanye has over all of them is that he's consistently reinvented himself, but not only reinvented himself, because I would argue Jay-Z and Drake did some of that. Yeah. Reinvented himself while also pioneering a new sound of music.
Yes, like exactly.
And while pushing the culture forward,
tied to the bigger cultural trends that he was the tastemaker, right?
It always felt like Jay-Z and Drake were like, okay, like they're on top, and so this new thing is coming up, so like we're gonna adopt that, or we're gonna take the things we like about it, we're gonna make our version of it. It's gonna be great, you're gonna love it because we're great performers and great artists. Kanye's thing was like, there's this thing that's coming, and I'm gonna make the best, most like experimental version I can of it, and it's gonna like push this forward, and then other things will come out of that, and that's like a very special talent. And I agree, the reason that I think that album is so special is because there is a collaborative nature to it. Like Kid Cudi was there, Pusha was there, all these great artists, and
Prince was there.
He took all this stuff
for long stretches. Rick Ross,
and I like that you're making the parallel, because I hadn't done it in my head, but like I did think this was an apology album. And one of the things that I wrote down in my notes was like, I just feel like it's like while it's playing at some bigger messaging, it's a bit shallow. And one of the things I literally said in my head was like, you can tell he doesn't have Sci-Hi the Prince or Pusha T writing his lines anymore.
Yeah,
you can tell. And like, not that I think that would have made any of this less derivative, because there is like some of the beats sound like they could be in other projects. Like obviously this isn't like Costa.
They're like two of his different sounds smushed together. Here you go, like enjoy it. Yeah.
But like, like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy showed that he could be really honest and vulnerable in a raw way. Like some of those songs are like Runaway is like a beautiful song,
piece of art.
Like it's an art. It's like it's art. Like it's high art.
Him doing a guitar solo with like a voice box.
Yeah.
Like, so it's still also this super crazy experience. Yeah, and like I said, I think you could dig deep into a lot of the songs on that album, and if you view them all through the lens of what was actually going on with him, like a lot of that is more apologetic than you would think based on how braggadocious it is.
100%.
Like that was his genius too, was almost smuggling it in. It's a maximalist album. It's big, it's boisterous, but it's also, like you said, really honest and raw and like personal. To get more into the actual minutia of the music, I definitely agree that you can probably see that some of his writers aren't around. I know that like guys like Rhymefest actually are still around, because at this point their associations with Kanye are bigger, no offense, than what any of them individually could do for hip hop.
Yeah, and also like Rhymefest isn't turning down a check, man. Like
no, yeah, exactly. I still love the Kanye witticisms, you know,
for sure.
The second song ends with "You a soda can to a Grand Canyon," and I that image actually really caught me, because I can picture like a crumbled Coke can in the fucking crater of the Grand Canyon. I'm like, that's some Kanye shit. There was another one, Yeezy airbags when I crash out. Like those little like, Kanye, like only you would say some funny shit like that. Like I love that stuff, and so
there were a couple where I was like, oh, that's like, okay.
Yeah, and I think those are the lines that Kanye always writes. Like, I don't believe that somebody else wrote that line. I actually think Kanye was the one who was like, "You a soda can to the Grand Canyon."
Yeah,
you know, like that's just something that feels that it comes from him. But yeah, all of his process is collaborative, obviously.
Even the beginning of the one with Travis Scott. Father, where he says,
by the way, another synonym for like bully and Kanye is father. Yeah.
No, you wonder where the F he been, but I'm back to life like an EpiPen. Like it's so silly.
Yeah, it's but like the 300 bitches were the Trojan. Like it's not even quite. An EpiPen doesn't bring you back to life, Kanye. Yeah.
When I heard about it, when I heard the line, I was like, okay, really cool. Like I like that.
That's a Kanye lyric.
It felt like a Kanye lyric.
Yeah, that's like the platonic ideal of a Kanye lyric.
There was moments like that where it was
But man, like, the instrumentation sounded a lot like if you took the synths and the drums from like the Yeezus era, all the way you could say up to the T-Lop era. He brings in a lot of chipmunk samples, which 100%. Is one of those things that's like kind of blatant. Like, okay, you're just kind of putting stuff together. But a deeper thing, and me and you touched on this when we talked on it really briefly, is even the songs I like, I would like more if there was more. Yeah. So one of the songs where I think this applies most is Punch Drunk. I was
literally
swinging beat.
Oh my god!
It feels like a lot of the good stuff he was doing when him and Chance were really associated, like this kind of really energetic gospel infused.
The thing I wrote right here, right there, it says, "Punch Drunk sample is beautiful, but again, feels like the song is too short and too shallow to make any real message. Current favorite song on my double listen." Like that's how much I liked it right off the bat. But I was like, yeah, it just feels like I'm wanting more.
Where's the Kanye thing? Where's the subversion? Where's the thing where he goes, yes, I can do this fun sample, whatever, big keys, but like, what's the inversion, right? What's the trick? And it never arrives. So I think a lot of the songs that I end up really liking, I mean, the longest song on the album is All the Love. That's by far, it's 340 or 350 actually. I think there's 2 other songs that crack 3 minutes. Well, and then
because
the Latin song.
It's an 18. Yeah. Oh my god. It's an 18-track album, and the total runtime is 46 minutes.
Yeah.
So like it averages like just over 2 minutes a song. So peep that. One of those songs we like the most, where he doesn't do a verse, where it's clear he's very intentional about it, is over 3 minutes. The other one is one of the worst songs on the album.
Yeah.
And to me, that kind of speaks to like his lack of having anything creatively to say on this. It feels like it does feel derivative.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think to some extent the apologies meant. I think the contrast with the father, the bully, the king. I have to believe that all that's intentional. He's that kind of artist.
He is that kind of artist.
Yeah, but I think ultimately where it actually fails is the individual concepts of the songs. Like we were talking about T-Lop. Wolves is a very defined concept for a song. I want to talk specifically about my relationship with Kim. I want to have this big like ornamental singing from Sia and Frank Ocean, these big harmonies that kind of like screech out into the night. Like that's a very Real Friends is okay, I'm going to do an old school beat and I'm going to rap about my family, like down to the level of the song. There's so much more cohesion and so much more direction there. And I think this is one of the albums where I'm like, man, like you made songs because you had to make songs, but you couldn't see it through. So I don't even think that there's like too much material on this album, maybe by a few minutes, but I actually think if you like vivisect this album, like if you take it into its component pieces and are willing to merge certain songs together, like willing to sort of have more bridges in there, like I do think there's a fairly really good Kanye album in here.
I think you could make like a solid 10 to 12 track Kanye album, like combining some of these songs.
Yeah.
And obviously cutting out like the Spanish song,
which is just that's just insanity.
That felt like. Do you know what it felt like? Because that was like the second last track.
It is. It's the second last song, bro. It's crazy.
It felt like how in the day, like back in the days when you bought a CD, like a certain place, you get like a bonus track. Like it felt like a bonus track.
Yeah, no, like, it does. Like, it feels like it should have been tacked onto the album 3 weeks later when he drops 2 more songs.
100%.
100%. It actually being here is shocking.
It doesn't make any sense, man. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Fourth Drake mention. Another thing that's very common with Kanye albums, but again, I don't.
Life of Pablo, an album Drake famously helped on.
Well, the only song I could find a definitive story, because there's always Kanye.
Yeah, all this stuff.
He trades with artists, so he'll say, "I made this song for this person, they didn't want it," or "I made this song for this person, they had a song I wanted, and we kind of switched." Him and Travis have done this a couple times. Him and Drake have done this. Preacher Man was for Drake.
Oh, was it? He made that for
Preacher
Drake.
Man was for Drake, and then Drake didn't want it. I don't know where in their relationship that occurred. Yeah. But I think that's the only song here that was meant for someone else. I would suspect maybe Father was started as a Travis song, or there was a time where it was going to be a Travis song.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the only way that the feature there even really makes sense. And it is one of the songs that I'm sure he like did production credits on. But all I have to say, man, that
interesting.
White Lines, I thought was a good song. That's another one that has the guy with the talk box, Andre Troutman, on there. I guess actually did a lot of the production. Troutman, sorry. He did a lot of the production here too. He's the music director over at Yeezy. Never heard of the guy. He's a talk box artist. Talk box, like where you hold it up and I wanna see you work out for me. Like he's one of those guys, but also does a lot of the production. I thought that was a good song. even at 2:10, I was like, there could have been something else here. There could have just been another element, a bridge, a something.
I felt that way about that one. Again, like, I would say there's, like, besides the Spanish song, which I really hated.
It truly should not be on this album. Yeah,
there wasn't a ton where I was like, oh, I can't stand this song. Or, like, I wouldn't listen to it ever again.
Or if it was on a playlist, I'd be like, yo, like, to, like, turn this shit off. Yeah.
There are some songs here where you can throw them on, like, a party playlist. You can put them on a playlist of other Kanye songs, and they can almost, like, if you find the right one to link up with some of the musical elements, it could almost feel like this is an interlude between them to connect them.
Totally.
And that's kind of what made me, like, ultimately this album, like, I wouldn't say it's not worth listening to like it is, but it's also, like, it just feels like empty potential. Like, it feels kind of like he did when Kendrick did Untitled Unmastered or whatever. Yeah. But that was clearly, like, B-sides and toss-aways. And even that felt like some of those songs outlived just even that. Like, some of those, like, whatever. And
because some of those song concepts you could tell, like, some of the songs you could tell, like, oh yeah, this never got finished. Some of them were finished, and you could tell Kendrick was just like, it doesn't fit on the album.
It doesn't fit, whatever.
I can't find a way to make it work. I don't see many of those here outside of, like, All the Love, which again feels so intentional, feels so sculpted. Everything works so well, and, like, yeah, I think that is a good Kanye song. I think that's in the echelons of legitimately very good Kanye songs, and kind of shows where I think more of this album could have gone. I would have been okay if he leaned more into these, like, atmospheric, moody, because there's some of that, but even then it's kind of just half-baked. Yeah, I just think, but okay, so then I guess I'll ask you this question. Do you think, a very vulgar way to say what I want to say is, do you think woke is the reason this Kanye album is bad? But I'm not gonna say that, obviously. I'm just being funny. But if you take that thing about Kanye, which is that I think he's always so connected to hip hop culture, like, do you think to some extent he just didn't know where to go? Like, it's kind of like he has to make music. People are really mad at him. I think the letter is basically true. Again, I have to believe that the letter is basically true. That, like, he was legitimately mentally unwell. I think he's always been kind of mentally unwell. Genuinely, not in a funny way. Like,
no,
I think
100%.
He's always had pretty severe mental health problems that have been addressed at various times in various ways. And it's like, on one hand, I feel like he felt he had to make this album, and on the other hand, I felt that he couldn't make this album because if so much of what Kanye does is sort of, like, reach out into the broader culture, pull it in, and give you this, like, perfect distilled product, can he do that when everyone's really mad at him?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think woke is what killed this album.
Yeah, I think, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. We got him. Woke is why this album sucks.
Yeah, well, it is just like, again, we're not going to discuss the apology here in great length. I don't think we have to. I agree with you. I do think the intention of the letter was good, and you can kind of tell because, like, it's not really the most PR apology because I feel like PR people would have gotten him to hit different, like, notes on it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he always pulled from the culture, always pulled from the stuff around him. And now, like, if you really think about it, he's the furthest removed from the culture that he's ever been.
If you want to know what you need to know about this album, go watch the music videos. You don't have to listen to the whole song. Go watch the music videos. It's bland. There's a concept, but he's not willing to do anything with it. And I think he felt that he needed to make something. He felt that he needed to get past this in some way. I don't think he really had a good or interesting way to do it personally or on a broader level. Because, like, just to sort of finish up on the collaborators thing, I know that even in Donda and Vultures, like, there's collaborators. JPEG Mafia did some stuff, I think, for Vultures. But increasingly, even there, the people who he was being seen with were these really young, like, post SoundCloud rappers, because those are the only people that have realized that would still want to be around
because they still get something from his name,
and their brands are so vulgar and so kind of like they're live streamers and rappers and scammers.
No one is going to come down on JPEG Mafia, considering some of the outward takes that he does in the music that he makes for being around Kanye. Like, he's never going to be mainstream. JPEG Mafia is never going to be the hottest.
He doesn't want to be mainstream,
and he doesn't want to.
Yeah. Even like Freddie Gibbs, I know, did some writing. Like, Freddie Gibbs has had his butthole on Instagram Live. Like,
Spready Gibbs.
He doesn't give a fuck. Like, he doesn't. And I think this is maybe the first time where it's like, you feel that more than the lack of any specific collaborator. I think you feel the lack of his ability to collaborate.
Yeah. I guess one thing I want to ask before this conversation goes like away and we focus on next week. So I don't think this is the last Kanye album.
Oh my God! If I had a last question, it was gonna be, do you think this is the last Kanye West album?
Like I'll answer it. Like I don't think so. But then my fear is like, look, I think sometimes I like hip hop. One of the reasons my favorite musical genre is that I do think the competitive element, much as Jay-Z wants to say it's a decrepit thing holding up the house, I think it's the one thing that sets it apart from other genres where there is this competitive nature and like there has always been like who's the best MC, who got the 5 mics in the source, who has the best 16. When you do a posse cut or like a song with other artists, you want to be the best one. And so I do think there is something to say about diluting your output. Like I think Drake has been doing so many albums, and you're like, okay, like we can't have 4 albums that sound exactly the same that are giving like, 6 Drake. 6. That's perfect. We can leave it there. That's the perfect amount.
Yeah, no more Drake. We're banned.
But like obviously, like it can dilute. So I guess my follow-up question is: 2, do you think this is the last one? Is there a worry that like if he puts out another 1 or 2? God forbid 3 if he doesn't have anything to say. Like obviously if he finds the fountain of inspiration, put out as many as you want. But if he puts out like, you know, will that damage things? Like, is he the greatest artist? Will that make, because like ultimately the last things you put out stick out long in like some people's memories. For us it won't ever. Like like you're saying, if you like hip hop 20-30 years from now, if that's the main genre you're listening to, Kanye West is going to be on.
You're going to remember Kanye.
Right, and we're going to have, like, tracks from Graduation, College Dropout, whatever. But it's the younger generation. It's the people that are going to pick this stuff after. And where will his ranking fall if he does really run out of stuff to say?
I think I can. And honestly, I don't wish this on anyone, you know, knock on wood. But, like, there was a time where I was genuinely, because I tried to so much stay away from Kanye when I stopped listening to the music. I was like, if I'm not in the music, I don't need to be in the circus. You know, like, it's just, I don't need it. There was a time where I thought he was going to die when people were posting that he was like trying to buy nitrous from a sketchy dentist. Like I really thought, and I thought, you know what? If there was ever a topic that I actually feel that I need to write about and put out publicly, if Kanye West passed before I do, which I mean, I would hope he does simply because I'm so much younger than him, I will probably have a full essay to write about Kanye, what he means to me personally, what I think he means to hip hop culture, what I think he means to our vision of what fame is in the 21st century. So I've thought a lot about Kanye's legacy, especially because he has been diluting his own legacy so clearly since, I think, again, if you want to say 2018, I think that's a pretty fair cutoff.
Yeah, if you want to be kind and give him that last good music summer, which I think is the last one you could possibly give him.
And his involvement in the Pusha T stuff. Like, I do think that stands.
Overrated album.
I think...
I'm just kidding.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm sure we'll have a Pusha T conversation, and that's coming. I think, I do think it's damaging his legacy, and that's kind of maybe the weird thing about it is, do I think this album is bland? Do I think it's derivative? Yeah. Do I think it would actually be a good way to end his career? Comparatively, yeah, probably. If this was the last Kanye album, I actually think that would do a lot to help.
Way better than it being like Vultures or Donda too.
No, absolutely, man. I think the way that, honestly, if that were to happen because he stops making music or because something else, if this was his last thing, I think maybe in 20 years people would almost talk about it like, yeah, he kind of did like a retrospective album, like looking back on his fame, his celebrity, the damage he's caused, but also the genesis he's been for so much of what hip hop has become. Like, and so he brings in his old sounds. You know, it's stuff that sounds like it could be College Dropout meeting that Yeezus era stuff and kind of merging. Like, you could actually see it much better later on.
Kinder.
Do I think that'll happen? No, I don't think so. I think Kanye's going to keep going. I think
because I do think in a way he's a victim of the amount of fame that he had and the amount of fame that he wants.
Says,
like, is he able to be capable of stepping outside of the light the way that Jay-Z has, honestly, to bring that back around? Like,
he has a bar. I don't remember on what song. I think it's on one of the earlier cuts where he says this, where he says something about like, my drug is fame or something, and I don't remember the lyric. I should have had that one written down. But yeah, like he says something basically to the extent where like, yeah, I think Kanye West isn't addicted to. I mean, he clearly has been addicted to drugs, but Kanye West is addicted to being Kanye West because being Kanye West is a thing that only one person has ever been.
Here it is. The classics turned me to when y'all treated me like an orphan. The classics turned me to Daddy Warbucks. The stables for the Raris and Porsches. The fame was only getting me more buzzed.
And by the way, I think those are 3 pretty good Kanye bars.
No, that's
a good.
When like the way King started, I was like, I literally in my head was like, this might be a great album.
Might be a great album. I know, because King is I think one of the really good songs on here. But again, I think suffers from being just a little bit too short. There had to be
too short
in there.
Too short. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll probably keep going, and I think, like I said, again, I've thought a lot. I've thought about Kanye West more than I've thought about a lot of other artists of any genre. Whether we're not even talking music, like I've thought about him more than I've thought about some of my favorite authors and what makes him so good and why I enjoy him so much and why I think he's so important for art in the 21st century. Like, he needs that dynamism between the personal and the bigger hip hop culture. I think hip hop culture is in a really weird place.
Yeah.
I think he personally is in a really weird place. I think this album, if nothing else, I think authentically expresses how weird his position is now, and again, by like kind of connection, hip hop's position. I think this album at least gets that across because it does feel uncertain of itself. It does. Feel
if
like
this album was made 10 years ago or something, like Sabrina Carpenter has a feature on it or something.
Yeah.
Like he gets Sabrina Carpenter to sing something.
Yeah.
Or there's a rap feature on the Sabrina Carpenter album because her label execs are telling her you need to have something that could be played in the clubs. Yeah. Like that's 100%. Like I don't think that's like hip hop is not where it was. No, it just can't be.
No. It's not. And so I think we'll probably get one more album. Where it goes, I think depends on where hip hop is and where he is. I don't see it being good. I don't see him being able to put out something that even someone who, again, really, really loves all of Kanye's music, well, most of Kanye's music, I don't think he'll be able to put out something I like again. And I think that sucks. I think that makes me sad. It's
a hard feeling to have when you have that for sure.
Yeah, to finish on, I think, pulling out as far as we can, like, when I think of artists who have had really, really long careers, obviously you have to step to other genres just because hip-hop is so comparatively young. But I think of someone like Bob Dylan. Like, Bob Dylan still now, I think, makes some music. And, like, I think for the last 15 years, he's sort of dipped in and out of being, like, all Christian music. Do his fans like that? Yeah, I think some of them do. Do I think he's making new fans? No. And so, like, no, seriously.
No,
I don't think Bob Dylan is even intending to make new fans.
That Timothy Chalamet doc, you never know. Maybe some of the...
Maybe
some of the young
they're
kids.
not going back to the Christian stuff. They're going deep into the OG protest song, right? Or David Bowie. I mean, David Bowie's last album.
Look at someone like Johnny Cash too. Like
Johnny Cash. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of the artists that are remembered as all-time great die young, and I do think that that's intrinsically tied up into why they're considered great. I think Kanye's greatness will never be diminished for me by living long, and I want Kanye to live as long and as happy a life as he can. Yeah. But I think that will diminish his legacy, and I do think maybe it will impact the way that the next generation, maybe even the next generation of hip-hop, like maybe even I'm going to start to see something that will terrify me, which is people being like, oh yeah, you like Kanye, like everyone knows Kanye was actually bad and overrated, and like, man, the day that happens, the day when kids stop being inspired by Kanye, the day when I can't say, well, your favorite artist is Kanye, like, I don't know what that day will look like, but brother, I'm
trust, man, it sucks. On a sports day, I mean, people can see the Kobe jersey. I hate when people. I saw a take. I mean, Tracy McGrady's out here talking like he was right there with Kobe. I'm like, I love you, Tracy McGrady. I got plenty of Tracy McGrady jerseys too. Yeah. Kobe was always better than you. Like, stop this nonsense, okay? You should have been better than Kobe. You were 6'8" and way more athletic, but you weren't because your knees were made of fucking glass. Respect to a GOAT. No, I'm with you, man. I do think that's that. And I mean, it is the. There's a reason the Beatles are remembered and the Rolling Stones aren't. John Lennon died, and we never got like a reunion Beatles album.
We never got the bad Beatles album.
We never got the bad one.
And we've gotten bad Kanye albums, and yeah, man. You know, I even like Tupac's a great one to bring up. Could Tupac have kept?
Oh man, like I think he would have had a better chance than Biggie just because like it was clear that
for sure
that Biggie had his niche, and like Tupac was always kind of playing with like.
Man, Tupac was trying to be an actor before he died, anyways.
But that's what I mean.
Wanted out of hip hop.
Like, I think Tupac would have just been an actor. I'm with you. I do not think
he would have done the Ice Cube.
Yeah.
I had my tough moment.
Because he's also like a good actor. Like if you see him in like Juice and like Poetic Justice and shit, like he was good.
Those movies are not classics for no reason. Like it's not just because he died. Actually, you could say maybe his filmography is underrated, and you could probably say his discography is overrated. Ooh. Maybe that's a hot take. Maybe we'll get there later, because what we're going to be doing on this podcast to segue us out here is, I don't know how hard we'll stick to this format. Maybe we'll just alternate choosing albums, whatever. Right now, I liked bringing in something that's very contemporary, something that was clearly a lot about where we feel hip hop is now and where we kind of see it going. But I think next week we're gonna have a little throwback, and I think Ray is gonna tell us what we're listening to and what we're talking about.
I will tell you what we're listening to. I will say, in terms of the format, yes, we're still obviously figuring this out. We want you guys along for the journey. The more successful this gets, the more people watch. We'll obviously take things on board, but I do think the plan is to kind of alternate like contemporary stuff if there's something new and noteworthy, and old stuff. Because honestly, as someone
because I'm young and beautiful, and he's
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, like as someone who's older, I would love to have a reason to listen to more of the hip hop that maybe I wouldn't have listened to, like this album.
I am gonna make him listen to the Earl Sweatshirt Mike album. I'm gonna do it, and he's not gonna like it, but he's gonna listen to it.
I'm gonna listen to it multiple times. But I wore the New York hat for a reason. It's not just because I'm a Yankees fan.
Okay,
my first one.
I know where this is going.
Where?
Is it gonna be Cameron?
No.
Okay.
That would have been good.
Okay.
I thought about Cameron. He already got a mention on the podcast. Next week we're gonna be kissing the game goodbye. Mwah.
I should have known.
Jadakiss, man, we're doing Jadakiss's debut album, Kiss the Game Goodbye.
Dude, I'm hyped.
Because like
I love Jadakiss.
I love Jadakiss. Like he's one of my favorite rappers. Like, it's so funny because like similar to Dutch, I would say that like. One of my favorite artists, I'm not allowed to mention his name because we've tapped out, but one of my favorite artists is obviously someone we've mentioned a lot and is very commercial and, like, you could argue, like, a pretender. But, like, beyond him, most of my favorite artists are, like, the grittier, like I'm a huge fan of Nas. The Game
Stuff
was
like
one of my favorite rappers,
the
documentary.
Dropper,
Young Jeezy, Jadakiss, Red Rose, White.
That Red Rose, White. Yeah, oh yeah.
So, like, that, like, so... Jadakiss is an artist that I've always had a soft spot in my heart. I do want, maybe through this show, to kind of like discover why he never popped off in the mainstream, because he has this like
so good.
Jadakiss
is so good. You know what? He's one of those ones who consistently, if I put a Jadakiss song on my playlist, because none of my friends they don't have taste like me, I'm not cracker with the juice,
He's the cracker with the motion.
Yeah, literally. No, Jadakiss is one of those ones where if I put a Jadakiss song on my playlist, that's one where people are always like, yo, what is this? Like, this is good. Like, this is what, like, and these are people who are not diehard hip hop fans. I think Jadakiss is great. I think that's a phenomenal pick, and I think there is a lot to talk about like, why does Jadakiss need to have a media career? Why is Jadakiss not just so big that he's Jadakiss? Like,
because truly, like, I understand why Fat Joe has to have a podcast.
Yeah.
No knock to Fat Joe, but like, if you people say that Jay-Z stole Biggie's rhymes, and by people I mean Nas very loudly a lot.
Yeah.
But people say the same thing about Fat Joe and Big Pun. That's why people think Fat Joe's first album was so good, because he took a lot from Pun. And it's hard not to make that argument when like everything past the first album from Fat Joe is like diminishing returns. But Jadakiss, like, even like I've listened to some of his newer stuff, because obviously I've been a fan, but like, even some of his music, he always comes with bars. He always has punchlines. He's an
underrated feature killer too. He has 100%. A feature on a Freddie Gibbs song that's fantastic.
His feature, I can mention this because not the one we're banned from.
Okay.
He's got a feature on the Carter, the Carter 4 with Wayne, and like, oh my God, some of the bars like that, something like, oh, I'm still in the hood, but I probably should move. Shoot me in the watch. I got time to kill. Gasoline, cocaine, ain't no salary cap in the dope game. Whoa. Ain't no collective bargaining on cocaine.
Oh,
like,
come on, he has the juice. The man,
like,
has the
so
juice.
Good. Like,
so does Ray Chavo. We're also waiting on that next Ray Chavo tape.
Oh, don't worry. Honestly,
we
like,
have a rapper on the pod.
We do. I genuinely think though this podcast like is very needed. So I'm excited to be doing it with you, to get really corny, and because I'm old and sentimental. I think this is gonna make me want to do music and be a part of it more. Like, this is cool. I loved talking about this album, and again, like, genuinely, as much as the album that we first listened to was underwhelming based on what we've come to expect for Kanye, which is the crazy part. Like, if a different artist than Kanye made this album, I probably would have been kinder to it because I would have been like, I saw the pictures, like I saw that you had things going, and if you can like tap into it,
right? No,
that could be great.
If this was an artist's debut, you'd be like, oh my god, this.
I'm excited to see what comes next.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what comes next. But because we've seen what he can be, it's like we're not impressed with it anymore. Yeah. And again, you're a victim of your own success. But like genuinely, I would never have listened to that album if it wasn't for Dutch. So we're excited to take this journey, and yeah, I'm excited to listen. I'm excited to listen to Jadakiss's debut album front to back because I haven't done that in a while. So I'm very excited.
Dude, I think that's going to be great. I hope you guys are there to enjoy it with us. We'll be doing this, I think, pretty consistently weekly, so we'll be back at you next week. And, hey, man, if you love someone, tell someone you love them. Don't be a bully. Be a king. Father, it's kind of up to you, man. I'm not going to make that choice for you.
Yeah, and, you don't have to be a father.
Yeah, you don't have to be a father if you don't want to. This has been, unless you have a kid, then you should probably.
Then you should. If you have a child, you should be a father.
All the fine print out the way. This has been Window Choppin'. Peace.
Peace.